Grums on X. Sony is suing Tencent over Light of Motiram, calling it a blatant copy of Horizon. I don't know, man. Looks to me like they improved it. Which, damn, they actually put an attractive lead protagonist. That's hysterical. One of the biggest frustrations people had with Horizon was Alloy, and they're like, she looks like a lesbo, like a dude. Like that's not a protagonist people want to play as. China's like, yeah, we see you, bro. We got you. That's amazing. Geralt of Gunia, you're just a cheap effing knockoff. Light of Motiram. Oh no, no, no. I'm the upgrade. This comes to us from Reuters. It says it's Reuters, I guess people say. Sony sues Tencent for allegedly ripping off Horizon video games. This is going to be a massive story, by the way. Like this is on the levels of Nintendo versus Pal World type stuff. Sony Interactive has sued Tencent for copyright and trademark infringement in California federal court, accusing the Chinese tech conglomerate of ripping off its popular Horizon series of adventure games. Sony said in a lawsuit filed on Friday that Tencent's upcoming Light of Motiram is a slavish clone of its games that copies several distinctive Horizon elements and threatens to confuse buyers. Okay, this is a very fascinating case because I can definitely see, I don't mean to ride the fence, but I can definitely see both sides of the story. But I always lean towards, when it comes to gaming and creativity, building off of what's already existed. If you can make a product better than what's existing and draw people towards your product instead of what's already there, have at it, bro. If you're not copying the code, if you're not stealing the IP, if you are using your entire game is using inspiration off of, say, I don't know, Pokemon or Legend of Zelda or Mario, which, oh, by the way, how many Mario style games are there ever since the original Mario game? With tons of games that are very similar to even the 3D Mario games. But you don't see Nintendo suing all of those. You just see the Pal World one. Spokespeople for Tencent and attorneys for spokespeople for Sony did not immediately respond to requests for comment on Monday. Sony released the first game in the Horizon series, Horizon Zero Dawn, on its PlayStation 4 in 2017. The games follow a red-headed woman named Alloy as she navigates a post-apocalyptic world populated by human tribes and robotic animals. I mean, to be honest, it doesn't really sound like a very original storyline. just saying. Seems pretty generic. Sony said in its complaint that it declined an offer from Tencent to collaborate on a new Horizon game last year. Okay, so Tencent's like, fine, we'll do it ourselves. Tencent later announced Light of Motiram, which Sony said features identical gameplay, which, no, it's not identical. You could say similar, but it's not identical. Story themes and artistic elements to Horizon, as well as many other similarities. Sony said the video game journalists have characterized Light of Motiram as a knockoff of Horizon, including one who called the game Horizon Zero Originality. That's actually pretty funny. Sony asked the court for an unspecified amount of monetary damages and an order blocking Tencent from violating its intellectual property rights. I find it's fascinating that court documents are sealed. Like, this should be, why is it not public? That's interesting. The case is Sony Interactive versus Tencent, U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California. And that's the end of the Reuters, but we have some other interesting things to show here. We got Shinobi, Mr. Wokey himself, that blocked me for a casual comment a long time ago. I'm surprised he's still on Twitter. He's a very blue sky styled person. Sony has filed a lawsuit against Tencent for allegedly ripping off Horizon video games. The lawsuit alleges Tencent's Light of Motiram features identical gameplay, story themes, and artistic elements, as well as many other similarities. The reason I wanted to bring this up is I wanted to showcase the two screenshots. Do they look similar? Yes, they do. But they're also of an overworld where many games could look like this. Let's be honest. Robots and trees and mountains. I'd be like, if I was a judge of this, I'd be like, and what exactly are you saying they're ripping off from you? Did they steal code? No. Okay, so they just made a similar game. Okay, and now we're to determine how similar a game is to another game to decide whether someone's getting hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of allegedly millions of dollars from the other person because it's just a little too similar looking. Whoa. Is this what the game industry is turning into, by the way? I don't know. I mean, like I said, I can see both sides of it, but I lean towards the come on now. Come on. If China's going to be ripping off this, I mean, first off, China rips off everything. You're going to try to stop this? Oh, okay. Good luck, Sony. Good luck with that. And this is from Game Move. They said, like Nintendo versus Pal World, Sony is suing Tencent for copying Horizon Forbidden Game. And this is the Reddit thread over on r/gaming. They said Sony sues Tencent for their Horizon ripoff Light of Motiram. And it said, let's see. I think it's clear that certain Chinese companies do not respect recognized copyright. So what if Sony wins this lawsuit in the Northern District of California? Can they actually stop the game's release in other countries? Not China. If they win the lawsuit, stores like Steam and Xbox probably won't host it. Oh no, said the Chinese company. Giga Bear said, imagine if Sony had tried to sue Blizzard over World of Warcraft. This lawsuit is just as absurd as that would have been. Very, very true. I worked at Sony Online Entertainment when EverQuest was still big, but dying down. It was when EverQuest 2 was out. It was around 2007 or so. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, we knew the writing was on the wall when we were there. And the best example of that was when it was lunchtime, everyone would switch their computers over from EverQuest to World of Warcraft. And I remember, because I was not huge into MMORPGs, which is ironic working at Sony Online Entertainment. But I did work on EverQuest Online Adventures on PlayStation 2, which was a console game, which was a little bit different. And I also QA tested games that were not MMORPGs. So I found what I loved there, and they let me work on what I loved there, which was great. I always thought it was funny, people playing World of Warcraft on their lunch breaks. I remember asking people, like the devs and stuff, when I was walking around talking to them, I was like, why do you pay for World of Warcraft if you get it for free being a SOE employee for EverQuest? Because they gave us access to every game for free while we were working there. And they were like, because it's better. It's a better game. It's more fun. It's where everyone is playing. I was like, oh, okay, interesting. I remember walking away thinking, well, our company's fucked. But yeah, that would have been the same thing. Like if Sony tried to sue Blizzard for World of Warcraft back then, that would have been laughable. This one, she's not interested. That's great. So the question is, do they have a case? To be honest, I do see similarities. Meh, I love Horizon. I think it gets undeserved hate. I think Horizon was okay. I didn't love it. It was a passable game. You won't see, well, the first one. The second one I didn't even finish. So you won't see me giving any praise to this kind of behavior. I don't care how much people dislike Sony or Western developers in the past 15 years. Blatant copying is not good for the industry. I mean, is it blatant copying though? Because if there are different storylines, if they actually do different stuff, if they say different things, if it does bring you into a different world, I mean, there's an argument to be made. If it's a blatant one for one, they stole like the lines, or it's literally the same storyline, everything, then yeah, I think there's an argument to be made. I think honestly, it's going to come down to, ironically, the storyline with a game like this, because I don't think you can copyright like mountains and trees and blue skies and clouds. I think you might have some trouble with that one. As far as this is concerned, if I had to guess, I would think that this case is going to get thrown out. I would hope that's what happens with it. I really do. But then again, like I said, if it does get heard and Sony wins it, it's going to be on the storyline alone. But that means it's a blatant one-for-one ripoff. And then yeah, they definitely should lose if it's just that. Like, yeah, no, they can't do that. That's crazy. But anyways, I'll leave that one there.